Join us tonight for one of our popular live streams, Love with the Clevelands, Taft and Sue. Tag a friend to watch.
Yeah. 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 Oh. Yeah. Yeah. Born and dead, saved by love, count my blessings from above. Though in darkness, have no fear. Light will shine on those holding near. They know that sorrow they will pass. For I know in this life there will be something. But remember that love, yes it will. Love will reign. Yeah. Love will reign. Yeah. In my heart, I believe it. Love will reign. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Have a vision, it's clear and plain. People living life, smiling again. Oh, see the children, they know no pain. Far from pressure, stress and strain. Oh, sorrow, they will pass. For I know in this life there's gonna be some pain. But remember that love, yes it will. I know. Yeah. Love will reign. Try to believe it. In my heart, I truly believe the sun will shine again. And love, I can hardly wait. We'll all be together. There'll be peace, sweet peace, happiness and joy.
as I promised, I've got one of not only my favorite couples, but one of the favorite couples in the Love and Stuff community here with us. And I think it's important that we bring couples around love so that those of you who are in the inbox and in these inbox streets talking about there just isn't a good pool of folks to date from, I've got a couple who met right here on Facebook. So I want you to give me some likes and loves for that, because people are saying it's just no good men and no good women. I don't believe that for 1 minute, and you will not either after you meet these two if you haven't already. I want to share with you a brief clip from a previous interview that we had with them as you're getting ready to meet one of the favorite couples, the Clevelands. And I'm telling you, after tonight, if you're not in love, you're going to want to be in love, and you're going to have hope that love can come down your street. You've been traveling many roads and streets, but maybe you just have to position yourself for love to come your way. Watch this clip of the Clevelands, and we'll be right back with the Clevelands.
Well, when Taft wakes up in the morning, he gets himself all pretty in the bathroom, and he's all shampooed and brushes teeth and shine, and he comes and he sits right here in this chair. And then what do I do when you sit in the chair, Taft Cleveland?
She gives me chai tea, as well as apple cider vinegar
with lemon.
And then I have water, because we drink water all day.
And that tea is called a fat bomb tea, and it has butter, MCT oil, cinnamon, green tea, and heavy whipping cream, because I put him on a diet and he has lost 25 pounds.
Yep.
Okay.
And then I come back and I do like this, if he's not drinking his water, to encourage him to drink the water. And then somewhere around 1 o'clock, I place his food before him. But Valencia, unlike Dolores Allen, he does not get a cloth napkin at every meal. Yeah. Dolores Allen only fed Reverend Allen from the finest china with cloth napkins at every meal. But I almost break out in hives if I see him go to grab a paper plate, because when you have a guest at your house, you treat that guest like they're royalty. And I can't think of a more wonderful guest to be in the house with me than my husband, Taft Cleveland.
Come on, come on.
He got glasses. Wait, hold up. Wait.
Come on, King.
What is she doing?
Now, Taft, you got to lean over a little so they can see you in the camera. We're only getting part of your face.
Okay, can you see me now?
His coaster has a K on it and a crown.
Come on, King.
It says Grandpa Taft, Mr. Taft.
Come on, King.
Every time he gets ready to drink, then he has his etched glass to drink his beverages out of. And his father bought him a wonderful reusable mug, and I always put his tea in that thermos mug. And right. I make sure that if he wants a snack, there are nuts and other healthy foods there, because life is too long not to be healthy. So we plan on living a long time, but we got to do better than we have been. But
I'm telling you, that's one of my favorite clips from the interview, because this is an amazing couple, and you can see the care and custody that they have for each other. And so you're getting ready to see Taft and Sue Cleveland, we are excited to have them here with us, loving the Clevelands. I'm so excited that they are joining us here, and thank you both for joining us. Okay, slide in a little bit. Yep, I got. Yes, I can see you good. Thank you all for joining us. Now I'm not hearing you. We're having some sound challenge.
Okay, now can you hear us?
I can hear you now. Very good. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm so excited to have you here at our new time. And I couldn't think of a better couple to start our new time with then the Cleveland.
Hey.
As a matter of fact, this 2-part series that I've asked you for might have to go 3 parts, because I know so many people, Taft and Sue, who are looking for love, and people are looking for love in all kind of places. Among those places, here on Facebook. And so I said, every time someone tells me that, they're like, it's silly, but I'm just trying to find somebody that says not silly. I know a couple that are madly, deeply in love, who built a wonderful friendship, relationship, and marriage after meeting on Facebook. So I wanted to bring you forward and talk to you so that those that are seeking love, seeking the better relationship, can see that there is hope and see the still bright in your eyes and smile. And I love it. I love it. And so thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having
My
us.
pleasure.
No, our pleasure. As I said in that interview, this handsome couple is flirting with each other, and the flirting keeps going on. I can still see it in your smile and in your face. So just for those that didn't get to watch that first episode, tell us a little bit about how the two of you met.
I talked so much last time. I'm going to let him talk this time. Go ahead.
Well, we met online. We have mutual friends on Facebook, and every now and then I would see her put some picture on Facebook or have some comment about a story that was going on, and I would start to like them.
Now,
And
Tap, I'm going to jump in and say,
yeah,
ask, not say ask. Sue is fine. So that's a statement. You see
yeah,
your picture, and it's not just, you're not just passing by and saying, oh, she's kind of cute. Sue's fine, right?
no,
We'll
yeah,
agree,
she's
right?
fine.
She's fine. And so you're on Facebook and you see this picture and you see this fine woman.
Right.
What?
Say it again. Wait, our volume went out. What did you say I was? I didn't hear you.
Fine.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
P-H-O-I-N-E, fine. You see this fine woman, and for the brothers, some brothers feel a little skittish about stepping to people online because it's, for some people it feels creepy. Does it?
Right.
Did it feel creepy to reach out? How did you parlay it? Come tell us, how was you Rico Suave in it? How did you do that?
Well, according to her, I reached into her DMs and just basically introduced myself. Again, I think I felt comfortable because I saw what she was putting on Facebook. I was very attracted to her. And then I noticed that we had mutual friends that I would start to ask them questions about her before I just wanted to, meet her at first. And everyone that I spoke with was glowingly telling me about her and just what she represents. And so that made it a little bit easier for me. And then after that, I think she was in town one day, and we decided to go up to Coney Island on Telegraph near Telltale Mall, and we just started connecting then. And then she drove back to Grand Rapids because she was caretaking for her grandmother at the time, and so we just kept in touch.
Let me ask you this, Sue. When he came in the inbox, did you think, what is this? What did you think about him approaching you in the inbox?
Well, actually, it was quite common because I was getting inbox after inbox, men all day, all night. But what he did something different. He name dropped in it. And he said, do you have a brother named Walter? Knowing good and well I was Walter's sister.
So
he knew it, but right. So he gave me a reference which caught my eye because it wasn't the hey baby, hey. It was, hey, do you have a brother named Walter? I was like, oh yeah, I do. And so I think that something he said is very important. If you're meeting somebody online, check with those mutual friends and find out who really, really knows that person and see what they have to say about that person's character. And so men in inboxes need to come gentle at women. We don't like a lot of pictures of yourself or any body parts of
Okay.
yourself, and we
Okay.
don't like what you're doing, things like that. They need to come real intelligently.
Mhm.
So him coming with my brother's name in the
Mhm.
inbox made a big difference.
Yeah, I think the mutual friends is a game changer. I think that's a
Yeah.
game changer because it puts people at ease that you know somebody that they know, and I think that's great advice. Check out that person with those mutual connections to see who they really are.
And
I
then
love it.
some of his mutual connections were parents that I took care of in my daycare, their
Wow.
children. So
Wow.
it was a very close relationship I had with them.
Wow.
So yeah,
Yeah. And so how long after Taft reached into the inbox did you all meet in person at the Coney Island? Tell us about that.
it wasn't long.
A month.
It wasn't long. It wasn't long at all.
Okay.
I say
Okay.
about a month.
And what was the excitement leading up to meeting each other in person? I mean, you've been talking online, and then tell us about the excitement.
I know that I was very, very excited and intrigued, and I had never met him face to face. And I knew it was something really serious because from the age of 18 to 49, I was a smoker. I
Mm,
would smoke and I would drink. One had to go with the other, and I
mm,
wasn't giving up either one.
mm.
I was on the phone with him. He had never met me, and I was just having the best conversation. And then we were talking about what do you like and what do you not like in a person. And
Mhm.
one of the things he said, I don't like women who smoke. And I did like this. I don't like those heifers either. And I put it out right then and there. After smoking from the age of 18 to 49, I put that cigarette out. When I got off the phone, I took the whole pack to the garbage, and I never picked another one up ever, 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 ever since.
Wow.
It was cold turkey. That moment, a man just from my inbox to my telephone said he doesn't like women who smoke. And I said, I got to get myself together.
Wow.
This might be something right here.
This right here might be something. And
Yeah.
now, what about you? What was your excitement leading up to meeting Sue?
I was just excited to meet her because even though we knew um, we have familiar friends on Facebook, there's always that level of anxiety of meeting someone for the first time.
Mhm.
I had never really dated online where I was met anyone on Facebook. She was the first and only one that I had met on Facebook,
Mm.
and so yeah, I was excited just
Mhm.
to meet her. And then I think the location was low key. It
Mhm.
wasn't as she would say, you didn't come with your tuxedo on or
Mm.
your prom dress on. You just came regular.
Mhm.
And that kind of put it at ease. And the location was some place that we was familiar with because it was right on the west side of Detroit, or in
Mhm.
Southfield rather.
Mhm.
And so it was yeah, it was exciting.
Yeah. And you spent a 5-hour date.
Yeah.
5 hours. So I get the sense that maybe you all didn't want it to end. Was that how you just clicked so well and you didn't want it to end? Tell me a little bit about those 5 hours.
Well, I got there early so I could find a place to sit so I can make sure that she saw me.
Mhm.
And then I can make sure that I saw her when she walked in.
Mhm.
Um, she looked in, she walked in, looked around, then she saw me and she smiled, but I could tell that she was trying to hold back because she was, trying to play hard to get. And we sat down, and at first she was kind of, warming up to the conversation. And then I think by the first half an hour or so, we just talked the whole time.
Yeah,
And
and in the last interview, Sue said she heard the angels, the
Yeah.
angels singing because he
Yeah.
said, "Here I am," in this
That's
in
what he
this
yeah,
did.
voice, and she was like, "Yes, you are. There you are." I love the way that she described that. It tickles me. And Karen is saying in the comments, that's a lot of conversation. I think when you are in
Five
flow,
hours.
when
yeah,
you're in flow, you lose track of time, regardless
right,
of what it is. There's psychology behind that, right? But
yeah,
especially when you're meeting someone who meets your standards and meets your heart standards.
yeah.
Am I thinking right, that you would lose track of time because you have some anticipation coming into it, and then you're put at ease. There's a grace in your meeting, and that makes you lose all track of time. Is that something you would tell other couples? If you're meeting somebody and you don't lose track of time, maybe you should second think it. Is that something you would tell other couples?
I would say yes, because I think anytime you're doing something that you're having fun and you're enjoying, you don't look at your watch.
Mm-hmm.
You're not trying to find out, okay, you're not looking at your cell phone. You're just enjoying the moment. And I think a lot of times, particularly when you're online, everything is kind of in your face. You're rushing, trying to get to know someone.
I agree.
And when you in person, you want to, just enjoy the moment. I know I have been on other dating sites years before I met Sue, and it was odd because you can find someone that you like, but then you can go to another site and see that same person on multiple sites.
Mm-hmm.
And so, that lets you know that they're just dating and having a good time until they find that one.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas when I saw her on Facebook, it was at a time where I think I was truly getting to just understand who I was, and what I wanted. And then, when we finally met, it was okay. Now we can have a conversation. We can talk. We can laugh. We can talk about things that people probably don't get to their second, third, or fourth date. And I knew that she was only in town for a certain amount of time before she went back to Grand Rapids. So I just wanted to maximize the time.
Mm-hmm.
And we're talking to Sue and Taft and Sue Cleveland. Loving the Clevelands is what I'm calling the series that we're going to have with them, in the hopes that people will up their love game, whether you're in a marriage or in a relationship or want to be in one. There are things I think this great couple can share with you that will help you get on the way to increasing the amount of love in your life and in your world. So thank you, Jeremy Haynes and Darren Williams, Karen Poole, and others that are joining us across all platforms. I want to ask you, because I know in the last interview, you kind of the relationship moved pretty quickly. Very fast, and you experienced some challenges, life challenges as they happen. I want to ask this question again. How did you know that each other was the one? How did you know she was the one, Tab? How did you know he was the one, Sue? How did you know?
I knew because the moment I saw him, it was a wrap when I saw him face to face. The man at the restaurant said, "Will you be dining alone?" And I was, "Miss, of course not." Like, do I look like I have to dine alone? And he raised his hand, and in his soft, because he has a soft voice, he said, "Here I am." And I said, "Oh, yes, there you are." And then I said, "Oh God, no, he has a child. No. Remember, I told you no kids that are little." But and he was dressed in all black. Is there any other color? It was when my eyes locked with his, that was it. And I'm going to tell everybody out here in the world something that they don't know, because he always has on glasses. If anyone ever sees Taft without his glasses, they are a hazel color. He's not regular old mousy brown. He's got these mesmerizing eyes, and I could see them through the lens of those glasses. He has light eyes.
It was the light eyes, the soft voice, the black, and
dressed in all black.
Yes. And Tav, how did you know that Sue was the one?
My boots. They were over the thigh, the big old stilettos.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, we used to call them hooker boots. It was my boots, right?
The boots was part of it, yeah. I think it was. There were two times where I just knew that she was the one. One was when TC first met her, and we had dinner at her mom's, and everything that I had mentioned to her that TC liked, she cooked for him.
Wow.
And she was very gentle. She was very intentional about what she said. And he just gravitated towards that. He felt that ease, and that made me feel very comfortable. And then the second one, I think it was because I wrestled whether or not I wanted to have any more children, and I knew that that was something that, you know, for her that was just not available at you know, since our age and everything. And I questioned whether or not, you know, what is the the best way for me to move forward? Is it to live a life with her, not able to have another child with her, or is it to not be with her and then have, you know, get married and have a child with someone else? And that was a very difficult conversation that I had to answer myself. And I think going through that process and realizing just how much of a friend she was, and understanding that even though we had different life experiences, we had so much in common. And I knew that if there was anyone that would have me, no matter what situation I was in, she would be the one. And she would love me unconditionally, and love TC unconditionally. And so that made it feel for me a lot easier to say, yeah, she's definitely the one. And from that moment on, nobody has had me like she has me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I love it. I love it. And I love how, Sue, you said he was the one. And so a way to his heart, in the sense, is a way through his son's stomach too, right?
Yes.
You embraced having that blended family. How has that been, embracing having a blended family?
Well, we went from zero grandchildren to 4.
Yeah.
So now we have plenty of babies.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's my sons love and respect him. Their wives love and respect him. The grandchildren are crazy about him. TC has grown from the age of 8 until he went away to college. We had him as much as we could. So we're a blended family. And in my family, we don't use words like step. So it's just one big circle. And that's all there is to it.
Yeah. We're talking to Taft and Sue Cleveland, loving the Clevelands. I planned for a 2-part series, but I'm feeling 3-part because they are going to help those of us in the Love and Stuff community and without, who are wanting to be more intentional about the love in our space, upping our love game of how we can glean from this wonderful relationship. And I mean, it was moving on a quick trajectory, right? Within the year, you're married, about a year, right? And shortly before getting married, I'm loving the Clevelands too, Karen is saying. Shortly before getting married, you get this offer to move out of state.
Right.
After paying cash for our home.
After paying cash for your home.
Right.
What was that like? You meet, you fall in love, you having this romance, your families are coming together, you're the one, and you're going through trials and tribulations, but you're saying, hey, this is what we're made of, and boom, a door opens on the other side of the water, if you will. Right. What was that like?
It was like nothing, because there's a song that Michael Essex and Vision put on their album, and it was called I'll Go. And I'll just go wherever you go. And that's how I felt about Taft. If I follow him, I'm following God, because he's not going to make a step without him. So it was just I'll go. Let's just roll with it. It was difficult, but it all worked out.
It was crazy. It was literally crazy. I went from buying a house in April to leaving in around July,
You left.
to July, to get married in October, and
I got on a train.
yeah, we were on a train. We was on a Wolverine train at least, if not every other week, and I think Sue was probably coming every week. Doing things, making sure the house was taken care of in Michigan, and then starting a new life in Chicago.
And we the budget was so tight that all I had in my suitcase was food, and I would go to the grocery store, buy it and freeze it, and then put it in the suitcase, because the difference in the cost of food in Michigan and Illinois is way different. Wow. So I would be on the train with a great big duffel bag with frozen meats and canned goods. And whatever I could afford that week, I would pack it and get on the train.
Yeah. So what has the saying, absence makes the heart grow fonder, meant to you? What does that mean anything to the two of you?
Absolutely. I think, it'll be 11 years in October. And
I can't believe it.
And it seems like we just got here.
It does seem like yesterday.
It seems like yesterday. And what's crazy is when you think about long distance relationships, usually, someone, flies in or they drive in, they spend a weekend or so, and then they go back home. And then they communicate cell phone, online. For us, it was, for a marriage, and I wouldn't necessarily, be the one to jump up and say I recommend long distance relationships and marriage, because marriage in itself is problematic and has its own issues. You compound that with being away from each other. It reveals who you are in character and what you can tolerate, what you can't. But I would say the time that we were away, I would say the first 5 years of our marriage, the next 5.5 years, including with COVID, we probably grown closer and spent more time with each other. And COVID has I think it forced everyone to slow down, to reevaluate, to appreciate what you have, and maximize each moment you have, because life isn't promised. Whereas I think the first part of our marriage, we were just trying to survive, get by, make things happen either way we can, work as many odd jobs as you can just to stay afloat, until God blesses you with, to the one area where he wants you to be. But it was rough. It was hard. It made you miss each other more because of that. And then we were creative. It was, okay, we have a house in Michigan. We have a house in Chicago. How can we get there? Okay, we could take the train. And then that became our link, another conversation, another experience that, made our marriage even stronger than I would probably say it was when we first said I do.
Yeah.
Wow. We're talking to Taft and Sue Cleveland. We're loving the Clevelands, and I can tell you why we should love the Clevelands right after this. We're going to take a break, and I want to ask you when we come back, what have you taught each other most about vulnerability? I want to ask you that. We'll be right back talking to Taft and Sue Cleveland. Right back. That's right. The Gratefulness Journey every day is available, and you can get your copy on Amazon. It's available right now. Get your copy of The Gratefulness Journey every day. We're talking to Taft and Sue Cleveland. We love the Clevelands in the Love and Stuff community, and you're going to grow to love them too through our series with them, of spending time with them from the soul of their relationship, from love. And I wanted to delve into vulnerability because very quickly you guys experienced some life's hardships that might be tough for a new couple. So talk to me about, what have you learned from each other about being vulnerable?
You want to go? You want me to?
I can go first.
Okay.
I think the one thing that she has taught me about vulnerability is to um, be more aware of what's going on in every aspect of her life, whether it's health, um, whether it's um, her job, the things that she likes to do, the creative things that she likes to do, just picking up on patterns and knowing how to address each situation differently. Because emotionally, each situation carries a level of sensitivity that you have to have. Otherwise, it can really blow up into something else. Um, so I think for me, that is the one thing I think that keeps me rooted and grounded, is just being aware of what she's experiencing and trying to be most supportive in every aspect of that.
So you want to add anything to that? I know that, very early on, while you were caregiving for your grandmother, and had some challenges, and you came down to be with them in the hospital. Sometimes for men and our health, we don't want to always share what's going on with us in health, or what's going on with us in life or finances. And sometimes people don't want to share aging parents and seeing grandparents going to dementia stage. How tough is that early in a relationship to be that open to each other? Because I might be afraid that the person be like, you got too much going on, I got to get out of here. So how does that work?
We both had a lot going on. And I
Yeah.
think that what I taught him about vulnerability is that he could trust me 100%. Because when I met him, he was going through a very difficult financial challenge, and he was losing his home, and he was fighting so hard to hold on to it. And I knew that, even, how long had I known you? A month or some weeks?
Yeah.
It had only been some months and weeks. And I told him, you have to let this go. And what I did is I got some of the guys from my church that I called nephews, and we went and got some boxes, and we told him to go to work. And I packed up his home, and I rented a storage unit, and we got a truck, and we moved all of his things out. And I talked to my mother. I know we really don't know this man, but he needs a place to stay. And my mom said it was all right for him to come stay in our basement. So if I was understanding enough to see that he was hurt to the point where, if it was going to take him to pack the house, it was never going to happen. And we would have been there when the sheriff came and put the papers on the door. I think I taught him it was okay to be vulnerable with me, because there was absolutely no length I wouldn't go to protect him. And I know that he's the head of the house and all that, but to me, I am a very great protector, fiercely protective. And so I think I taught him that right when I met him, because it was a beginning conversation. I'm losing my house. And I didn't run. And I didn't say, boy, you ain't got it going on like that for me. I was right there in the trenches, and I was digging, and I was fighting. I have saved his life twice now. When he was choking, and I was giving him the Heimlich, he had to have surgery for that twice. And so I think that he understands that, even though he's the big, strong, head of the house. He's the tough guy. He's the he-man. He's the hunky guy. That
Mhm.
he can be fragile. He can be brittle, and
Mhm.
he can be vulnerable around me because
Yeah.
I will not mistreat him. I wouldn't mistreat him for the world.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you for that. And has the converse have you had to be vulnerable too? In
Yes.
what way?
Yeah.
Yeah. He told me that he taught me rather that it's okay for me to say I hurt because
Mhm.
I would I went through a lot of surgery and all kinds of things during the pandemic.
Mhm.
And he didn't even know how sick I was. He didn't
Mhm.
know that I was about to be septic
Mhm.
because I don't show it.
Mhm.
I was still sewing. I was still making the mask. They
Mhm.
had to do oral surgery on me.
Mhm.
It was like really, really, really dangerously. I was dangerously ill, but I
Mhm.
never, ever, 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 ever stopped
Mhm.
because to me, I was told I was a strong Black woman.
Mhm.
I'm making things happen, and you're a go getter, and you are that Black woman. And
Mhm.
I didn't understand that it was okay to
Mhm.
still be strong in my fragile state.
Yeah.
So he's allowed me to be able to actually open up my mouth and say, I don't feel well without following with, but I ain't no punk. Because
Mhm.
I would say that all the time. And he'd say, why do you think you have to be so strong? You
Mhm.
got me right here. You don't have to do that.
Mhm.
And he also brings up that I am as valuable as, and you don't want to really say it like that, but I'm as valuable as a white woman. And as a Black woman, when I say I hurt, I feel like I'm weak. But if a
Mhm.
white woman says she hurts, she's coddled. She's
Mhm.
a damsel in distress and she's lifted up. So
Mhm.
he's taught me a lot about being vulnerable and being able to trust him enough to say, I need your shoulder to lean on.
Yeah. I think this is such an amazing part of this series because I think what people fail to do and fail to do it early on is have this kind of vulnerability with people that they're pledging their commitment, life, and love to. If you can't lay out all the cards on the table and
Yep.
reveal your weaknesses, reveal the chink in your armor, if you will, then
Yeah.
you will not be able to be your authentic self with the person who you say you love the most. And
Yeah.
I think that's where people go wrong in relationships, not being able to say, I think I'm supposed to be strong because all Black women are supposed to be strong. And doggone it, that's what society has always told us. Black women can break their backs and be strong for their families, and they better
Right.
not cry and they better keep going. And all of these things that we've been taught and believe, if we don't be vulnerable enough to say, well, you know what, I do think I'm strong, but your husband say, but baby, you don't have to be strong. You got me too. I can bear some of this load. Or you say, well, baby, I see this is too tough for you to go through the situation with your house. I'm gonna pack it up. You can lean on me. If you don't have that kind of vulnerability, I don't think relationships get built on the right foundation. What do you think?
I think that is so key. I look back and I think about the Black men that I have in my family and that I've known, and just growing up, kind of like the machoisms that were presented to Black men, that you had to be strong, you can't cry, can't show emotion, um, you always have to be strong, even when you're weakness, even when you're in pain, even when you are, working in a field where you represent 2% of all of the, architects in the world. Um, you feel that pressure every day, and
Mhm.
I think looking back, me being vulnerable and just letting her know, hey, this is what's going on. It's just temporary. I think it gave her ease to step in and help any way she could.
Mhm.
And I think a lot of times, even looking back, if I were not vulnerable, I don't think I'll be here. We'll be right here,
Mhm.
because it's one thing to lose your home, um, but in respect to everyone in Detroit at the time, a lot of people were losing their homes.
Yeah.
And I was blessed to have savings where I could go in my 401k and buy a house
Mhm.
that we still have,
Mhm.
that's generating income for us.
Mhm.
Um, a lot of people, that was all they poured into their home.
Sure.
That was all they had. And so it makes you grateful. It makes you, have a high level of gratitude because you thank God for where he's brought you from. But at the same time, you thank God that he brought you a mate to, understand and just come right beside you and just say, I got you. Don't worry about this. Focus on the other things. And we've always kind of had this things are just temporary attitude. It doesn't last long. The pain doesn't last long. The inconvenience doesn't last long. And so when we have that mindset that this is just temporary, it helps us to manage and to address the things that are priorities, and those other things that are important but they're just not a priority. We just kind of set them off to the side and address it when we can.
Yeah, I think that's great. I want to ask you, I'm framing it this way because people see aspects of relationship like physical, spiritual, emotional.
Yeah.
So thinking of just those three, because people would say there are many more than that, but thinking of those three, where would you say that you all have gained the most ground, and where would you say that you still have the most work to do?
In my opinion, it's the same thing. It's physical, because physically I used to be gone a half a week every week. I was gone a half a week. And so that put a distance between us. Physically, I still can be gone a half a week and be right here in this house because I'm working the same job I did when I was in Detroit.
Gotcha.
So I might get up, get him started with some tea or whatever for breakfast. He might not see me again until it's 1 o'clock and it's time to eat. And so that's what I have to work on, is my physical presence, even when I'm in his presence. And another thing I had to do was I had to learn to slow down and actually listen, because my mind is on the sewing machine and deadlines and what I got to get done. And so my strength and my weakness, where I've grown the most and where I'm still the weakness, is still in being physically present. Because being physically present doesn't just mean being in the house. I have to get closer. And that's what I need to work on, in my opinion, in my humble opinion.
Taft, do you tend to agree with her? Is that you think that's an accurate estimation?
I think that's accurate. I think, in marriage, physical means different things for men than it does for women. And I think, I remember Pastor Perkins was teaching about the love languages and how, you have to understand the language of your mate and learn how to love them where they are when it comes to their language, and just understanding it. And I think the physicality, because we were away from each other for so long, and now with, this hybrid way of living now where you can go to work a few days and work from home, I think just being at home, having her presence helps. But I think even for me, I think more so for her, she may say it's the physical aspect, but I think for me, it's probably more of the emotion.
Okay.
Because again, as men, we're taught there's a certain way that you communicate. And if you don't communicate in that certain way, then you're not a man. And I think emotionally, if it helps you to learn how to develop communication skills, one that you thought you may have mastered before, but you realize there's a different level of communication that you have to have with women. And so I think for me is letting her know when I am upset, or when I am frustrated, or if I am happy, or if there's something that we need to work on. I'm not a person of that likes to be in conflict. And so I tend to hold things in. And I think emotionally, what that does is it tears you apart more than brings you together. So being just having her around me and her presence helps me to communicate better with her, and as a result, it helps me health wise because I'm not as stressed. I'm not internalizing things that are not there, and I'm not withholding things from her where she may think everything is fine, but deep down there may be something that I'm going through that I need to address to her. And she has an atmospheric way of allowing me to be that way without making it turn into something that could easily escalate from 1 to 100, because we're trying to protect our emotions or um, feel like I'm hurting, so I have to lash out and let you know that I'm hurt. But we can just sit back and we can actually talk about it without feeling as though we're hurting each other, but we're saying it in a way that we love each other, we want to support each other, but we want to make sure we have the best version of ourselves.
And it doesn't mean that in the end of the conversation we even agree, but what we do is we care.
Yeah.
And, and what more can you ask for? I mean, you're gonna meet in the middle somewhere there.
Yeah.
And there's been times where Taft looked at a situation one way and I looked at a situation another way, but until he could physically see with his own eyes, he didn't understand it. And in that case, I was right. He was wrong. Same thing can happen with him. Until I physically see it, I really don't get it. And then I can say, okay, you were right. I was being emotional. I should have listened. A woman talked to me, she's a counselor, about even my posture in listening to him, because I'm kind of like a zoom, zoom, wham, wham, ADHD, obsessive compulsive. I got to work right now. And I would take a posture. I had to stand up to do it. I would do this when he talked to me because I was physically holding myself because it's so hard for me to be still. And I was trying to give him all of my attention. And she said, do you know how offensive that looks? And I said, that I'm holding my hands in front of me is offensive. She said, it appears as if you can't wait for him to finish. And I said, that's not what my emotions are saying. My emotions are saying, still yourself and be present.
Yeah.
So I had another stance, which was stand with my hands behind my back. And she said, that's very combative. That means you're the sergeant, you're in charge, and you're getting ready to let everybody know that you're the top dog. And so this was so simple. She said, when you talk to him, I want you to physically allow your arms to hang at your side and just relax. She said, and to steady yourself so that you're not holding your hands and gripping them. She said, at least put some weight on one hip so you can feel yourself being grounded. And it sounds really simple and like a no-brainer, but it really makes a difference. Just the posture when you're listening to someone.
Yeah. And you all answered the next question. It was the wonderful segue in how you resolve conflict, but we're going to delve into that. But I do want to go back because we're at 7:53.
Oh, no.
To something I know time flies when you're having fun. That's why I'm telling you, it's not going to be 2-part series. It's going to be 3. It's got to be 3 because I've got so much that I want to delve into, because I really believe this is what people need to see: real love, and not just the surface stuff. I knew you all wouldn't be surface stuff, right? I knew you would share with us from the wealth of your love, which I love it. I'm absolutely loving the Clevelands, and I hope you all are as well. But Taft raised something, Sue, that when men think of physical, we're thinking more intimacy and physical. When we hear that word physical, you were thinking of presence. So I want to ask the question this way: the absence of your presence, how does that impact intimacy? how does the absence of your presence, because you said you could be absent and even still be there, how does that impact intimacy? Because a man, sometimes we're socialized to believe that the way you measure that intimacy is through physicality, it's through sex, it's through the way that our love language is. For some men, it is touch. For some of us, it is the attaboy. We got to hear you affirm us and say, man, dingo, big daddy, all of those things, right? So when we say physical, we're thinking more the physicality of our intercourse and intimacy, because that's how we are socialized around physical. And you're thinking presence. So having those two thinkings merged together, what is the absence of presence to you all? Does that impact intimacy?
Yes, it does. Yes. And I have a different level of I need to be touched. I don't need to be touched. Now, he has the softest feet in the world, and he loves to put them on me when we get in bed. He's going to put his paddles on me. They're softer than a baby's behind. Me, I'm not the one that's going to do that. I'm not good unless my feet are cold. Yeah. If I'm cold, I might get up under him. But now that's like one of those polar opposites.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Polar opposites. He needs to be touched. He needs to be held. He needs to do all of those things. For me, making love to me is the fact that you've provided for me and you've looked out for me, and I can lay my head down and not wonder, do I have health insurance? So to me, that's intimacy. To him, intimacy is physicality. Yeah.
So the being away from each other, Taft, must have been hard, difficult for you, especially and I told Sue this before, I am privileged to have seen pre-Taft and Sue Taft, and the joy that Taft has and the peace that he has, because I think a good woman brings a man peace.
Right.
He seems settled. I would imagine your absence doesn't feed that, right? So that would be difficult to be away from each other for that kind of time. So Taft, talk a little bit to us about that, and how do you all negotiate that? How do you, how do you negotiate it?
Put a pin in the calendar and say, okay, I did it this day. That means I get the next day off. No.
I love it.
Again, you have to make time. You have to be creative. You have to fit it in there. I look back again. I think the times that was so funny. I think the absence of her being in Chicago, it was very difficult. It was very challenging. And again, just when we started I think we were just getting a rhythm of getting better. Then COVID came, and then what COVID did was shut everything down and said, okay, focus on your home, focus on your family, focus on all those things that you need to work on your spiritual, work on your physical, work on your emotion, work on your communication, work on just being in the moment. And I think that is one of the best things that came from the pandemic. Is awful as it has been and continues to be. The emotional part says, we have to do better. And I think just slowing down and actually seeing each other. If I hear the sewing machine going, I know that she's here. She's doing some work. And I can focus on doing the things I need to do. If I don't hear the sewing machine, I know she's probably taking a nap, or she's doing something else, or where we're sitting at here, I can look back and see where she's working. And so every now and then I may get eye contact from her. And so it's all these little things that I think you either take for granted or you just don't take the time to do and focus on. it impacts your marriage. And so for that physical part, I look back and I think if I counted the days and the hours, it would drive me nuts, because I would think, man, that's like 5,000, hours that I didn't even have with her, whatever that number was. But moving forward, because of the situations we're in now, it makes me, appreciate the 10 minutes that we have here, or the 30 minutes we have there, or, doing something that we just, have a quiet dinner, or we watch a movie together, or just do the things we like to do. I don't even look back on the time that I miss.
Yeah.
I look forward to the times that we do have, because again, COVID has taught us life isn't, it isn't promised. And so you just want to maximize on all that you can do while you can, and just love them as much as you can.
Yeah, I think that's amazing. And this has been an excellent part 1 of our part 3 series and growing, because I think it's good for couples who might be taking for granted, even though I think the pandemic should have shaken all of us in our relationships. Maybe it didn't. Yeah. But to maximize the time that you have with those that you love. But I think couples, some of them may be thinking, I got too much time in the pandemic. For them to hear that here was a couple who was used to traveling and not being together, and learning to maximize that time was golden for you. It might help somebody who's taken that time for granted to say, wait a minute, I've had this time, and be able to do it. So next time when we come back, I want to talk to you a little bit more about the spiritual and emotional. And I want you all to tune in to hear from them, because we're going to be asking you, Taft and Sue, what 3 things would you tell couples to do and tell couples not to do? So we want to find out some of the things we have learned, and we want them to come back next month. That will be back the 3rd weekend, so you got to stay with us to come back and get them next month. And by that time, I think you will already have had an anniversary, won't you, by that time?
Yes.
So let me say it in advance. I'm going to be the first to say it. Happy anniversary. I was there, and I expected to see you here. You are an amazing couple. You are a beautiful, 2 wonderful people, and what I see is what I get. It has always been who you are, and I love it. And I hope that other people who want this kind of love are invigorated to know that 2 people can meet on Facebook, and you can meet the person of your dreams, just like Taft and Sue Cleveland. Thank you, Taft and Sue, for joining us. We're loving the Clevelands, and we hope that everybody will join us in a month along with them. They're going to answer those burning questions, and you don't want to miss it. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely.
All right. Love you.
Yeah.